Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of the Gedunk. Today we're talking Loki episode 3.
That's right, everybody. We're halfway through the season now, so we're going to see some good story progression in this episode. Well, stick around because we're about to find out.
All right, Billy, break this down for us.
All right, Josh, the story starts kind of giving us a good glimpse at this new variant Loki's powers. So it shows her sitting down with, what was it, C-20, I believe, was the variant she kidnapped. And it shows her sitting there having Mai Tais. Hey, and kind of...
Someone check that number.
Yeah. And, kind of like tiki glasses like ours. And they're sitting at some restaurant having drinks. And she's got this Minuteman woman sitting there just having a good time with her, talking to her as if she's her best friend, and she's basically in her memories trying to get this woman to give her the information she needs. And eventually, of course, she does, which you end up seeing in episode 2, where she's like, "Oh no, I gave her the information on the timekeepers." So it starts out there, and kind of like I said, giving us a good look at her powers, how it works, and then it flashes to where episode 2 left off, of Loki, both Lokis jumping into the time gate together. Well, you find out where she was going was actually to the TVA to wreak havoc. And Loki came in there to follow her. They get in a big fight. He tries stopping her because he doesn't know what her plan is yet. And then, during the whole, fight and everything that's going on, they escape. Loki presses a button. They drop through the floor into another dimension, right? And this other dimension they end up in is called Lamentis 1, and it's a moon, and it is another disaster area. So it's one of the disaster areas that she's been leaping from, and, because I guess it was her, thing that he hit the button on, so he just went to the next one that she had programmed in it.
Yeah, in the year 2077. Yep. Minuteman Woman, is that the official title of them? Or?
Yeah, that's what I call her. And so they're on, they land on this moon, Lamentis 1, and then it shows you a picture of the sky, and that moon's Earth, or that moon's planet, is literally hours away from crashing into the moon and destroying the moon, right? So
there's all kinds of meteorites, I guess, from the planet hitting
crashing down
the moon.
Yeah, exactly. So, so that's kind of where we pick up, and then it's, one of those episodes, kind of like we see movies and other shows like this where there's two people stranded together and they're not getting along and they're trying to make some comedy stuff out of it. And this is kind of one of those type of episodes, right? So you got both Lokis here on this moon. They keep wanting to fight each other first, and they're like, all right, fine, we got to just get along just to get out of here, And then it's like, all right, well, let's teleport out of here somewhere else, and guess what? The teleporter's out of juice.
Yeah, out of battery.
Yeah. So they're like, okay, we need to find a new power source. Let's go check this moon out, see what we can do. So they go... You're looking for a power source. They find this old lady's cabin, and a little bit of comedy type stuff happens there. This old lady blasts him around with her.
I hate when you forget to bring your USB charger.
Yeah, exactly. What were they thinking? Teleporting from world to world without their charger. But and this lady's got a sound gun. She blasts him around, and they're just trying to basically they're trying to find a power source. So she finally tells them, well, hey, there's an arc that everybody's escaping on. And they're like, oh, where's this arc at? Because they're thinking, oh, we can get a ton of power from this arc, huge power source. So she explains where they're at, where it's at. There's a train station down the road. You guys can go get on the train and get yourselves to the arc, right? So
I didn't really like this episode. If we finally get to see Loki use his magic powers a little bit in this, finally in the third episode. I don't know why he didn't use that at all in the last one where he could have used it during the fight scene. But this episode was just really dry to me. There's no Mobius in this episode whatsoever, and I think this suffers from it. And female Loki, she's not very charismatic. She's not very intimidating, so she's just pretty flat for me. What did you think about female Loki?
I liked her, man. I thought she was pretty good. I mean, could they have done a little bit better with her, I guess? And sure. But I think for what she had to work with and the kind of situation they put her in, and the way
delivering lines, and the
way the script was written, I think she did okay with it. Like, I didn't think she was flat. I didn't think she was like monotone or any of that. I think she did a pretty good job delivering her lines. Unless she did a good job, in her arguments with Loki. I mean, I thought she was fine.
Did you laugh at all?
Yeah, I laughed.
Yeah, well, you have a pretty low bar, I think, my friends.
No, man, you're just too uptight.
Yeah, well, this is by far the least favorite episode for me so far. I mean, this almost felt like it was Falcon and Winter Soldier territory.
Yes, I didn't feel that. Now maybe in the fight scenes a little bit. Yeah, the fight scenes weren't that great because going on with the story a little bit. They end up on the train. Of course, Loki gets drunk, ends up getting them in trouble, and there's a fight scene on the train, which the fight scene was pretty underwhelming. I'll agree to that. There wasn't
we
a
have
lot
the
going
issue
on.
with these shows where these are very powerful characters in the movie, and then like normal Joes come on the scene and are like throwing Loki out a window and stuff like that, and I'm like,
yeah, well, and that goes along with where you mentioned their powers, right? I mean, it showed them use their powers earlier on. So why? I mean, you're right. These regular Joes shouldn't even be touching them because they're fighting them like normal freaking
Loki's supposedly a god.
Yeah. Well, and this girl is an enchantress, right, with all these mystical powers. So
all she has to do is touch someone and she can control them.
Yeah. So why are they even allowing these people to touch him? Loki's already showed potential of his powers. And so is she. I mean, there's a part where she screams and like the earth booms and the ground shakes and like everything shoots out. So why didn't she just do that on the train and just blow these guys away from her? Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. But I guess, Disney just wanted some fight scenes in there. So they just threw these fight scenes in there when it really didn't need to be that because Loki and her should have just used their powers and finished these guys off like that.
And in previous episodes, female Loki is like going through members of the TVA. In this one, she's not doing that whatsoever. They're not even killing people anymore. Which she didn't seem to have a problem before, and maybe because it's directed at the TVA, but I doubt it.
Yeah, so the guys on the train, are you're just basically security guards from this planet or from this moon, so they're not TVA agents,
and they're all going to supposedly die. So why would you not take them out anyway, right?
Anyway, no, that's true. Yeah, you're right. That didn't make sense. But as far as as far as her acting and stuff, I mean, I thought she was fine for what they gave her to work with in the episode. And and I did like the story progression in the episode. We finally find out some key nuggets in the episode that I know Josh and I had been kind of contemplating and we talked about before, and I'm sure many of you are. Who's the real bad guy here, right? So who's the real bad guy? In this whole scenario, is there kind of well, the funny thing is Loki actually kind of gives you a hint on that in the last episode where he was talking to Mobius and he was like, "Look, one thing I've learned." No bad person is truly bad, and no good person is truly good. Remember that, and that kind of plays into this episode.
Yeah, and this is going in a direction which, like we foresaw early on, that it looks like the TVA, the timekeepers, whoever they may be, might be the bad people in this, and then the Lokis are actually good people. And I've just seen this too many times before at this point. So.
Right. Well, but the thing is, again, are they, or are they just, or are the timekeepers just doing what they think's right for for all of the galaxy, right, or the universe? And so they don't think they're bad guys, right? They think they're doing what's right. Where the other variant Loki, tells Loki what's really going on, and they're like, okay, well, the timekeepers are doing is not right because they're kind of taking away people's free will if they're, if they're doing what they're doing. And so, it's kind of one of those, again, you're not really good or bad. You're not really good or bad. You just are, and you're doing what you think is right for your situation. They're doing what they think is right for their situation. And so you really don't get a good feel for any of it, right? I mean, it's like, okay, well, who's the real bad guy? Like, are the timekeepers really bad because they're forcing people to become variants and work for them? Or are they doing that for a good cause because they're trying to save the universe from chaos and basically destroying itself?
I don't know. It just seems like Mobius is going to get his jet ski.
That's all that matters. As long as Mobius gets a jet ski, we'll be happy.
But that's it. The other thing I'm worried about now is like we haven't seen the timekeepers, and really everyone else is kind of limited who's seen the timekeepers. So I just worry that like they're setting this up so the timekeepers aren't who you think they are.
Well, and at this point, the only person we know supposedly that's seen the timekeepers are Vona Renslayer, right? Because she's talked about them before, but then of course when Mobius talks with her about them, she kind of cuts them off and just really won't. She doesn't want. You can tell she's trying to avoid talking too much about them or who they are and all that.
And in these situations in previous movies where they do this kind of stuff, it's not what it seems to be. And like these timekeepers are represented in these huge statues. So I'm wondering if this is all like smoke and mirrors.
Right. Some kind of, exactly. Just
and I think that'd be a little bit disappointing for me if it's like Renslayer or something else like that is going on and that's the actual person running the show.
Right. Just like the wizard.
I don't think it's Renslayer, but at least I hope it's not.
Yeah, I don't think it is either, but I think she's definitely in on it and knows what's going on. And I think, but no, you're absolutely right. I think they're trying to go in the direction, kind of like a Wizard of Oz thing. It's totally, completely something behind the screen. And I don't know, man. I hope they don't. I would like to see these giant timekeepers, and see, some good CGI going on from Disney, and and see what's,
if they did that, I think that would be a cop out, and that would really decreased my enjoyment for this.
No, I agree.
This series so far.
Yeah, I agree. But I mean, but now as far as this episode though, I thought I got to disagree with you on that, man. You're saying it was your least favorite, but I thought it was decent, man. I thought the story progression was good. I like.
Disagree. It's my least favorite. I'm telling you, it's my least favorite.
It's not your least favorite, man. No, I disagree with you about as bad as you thought it was. I think that I thought it was good. And I like the story progression in it because they, like I said, the fight scenes don't make sense because they should have just used their powers, and there should have never even really been a major fight because these are just little mortal peons.
Yeah, and that didn't bother me too much. That's not what holds it back to me. What holds it back is I just don't think female Loki added much to this, and the two of them together didn't have the dynamic that Loki and Mobius had. That was really entertaining. They both fed off each other really well. These two, like, she even, I thought, brought down Tom Hiddleston in this because he wasn't even very funny or anything. So I'm just kind of like, this is pretty boring. What is going to happen here? And the only thing we get is, like, at the very end, they're like, these guys are actually variants. Like, Mobius and the TVA are actually variants.
Right.
So we find that out, and that's, like, the biggest reveal. And outside that, I thought this episode was not great at all. And that is a big reveal, and you're like, oh, that's really interesting, and that obviously adds something to this series. But
yeah, it was a huge reveal.
Other than that,
all right. Well, like I said, I thought it was better than that.
the planet looked cool and everything.
Yeah, the planet was cool. I like the all the meteors shooting down, but I think I thought it was better than that, man. So, all right. Well, I guess with that being said, what would you rate it?
The other ones I gave, I think, an 8. This one, to me, is definitely like 2 notches below those. It's a 6. I mean, the series is still great for me, but I am nervous where they're taking it. But this episode, yeah, probably a 6 for me.
6, wow, okay. Yeah, no, I disagree, man. I think this one was right up there. I mean, the action was a little off, because in the TVA, it's understandable because they don't have their powers. Oh, well, speaking of the TVA, what about when she first jumped into the TVA together with Loki? Her power semi-worked, right? She touched that TVA agent on the head, her finger lit up, and he like reacted for a minute, and then it dwindled off real quick, and then it was done. So they were always told that in the TVA, power doesn't work at all. Yeah, her power did work very briefly in the TVA. So what do you think about that?
I mean, that's interesting. I don't know what's going on there. But as we've seen, like, the TVA is not what it seems to be. Like, they've been lied to the whole time. So what else has been going on that's not true? Right,
exactly. So, but I like that little aspect they threw in there, and they threw it in early enough to, I guess, maybe make you kind of forget about it later. But I think that was a key thing, in there that they showed us with that. So I'm definitely looking forward to find out what that's all about and why her power actually worked very briefly. And then, of course, it makes you think, why didn't Loki's work? But when you look at it, she tried it as soon as she got there, basically, right? She jumped through, went out to the next room and did it, where Loki had been in there for a little bit. They were walking him through the rigmarole and all that stuff. So by the time he actually tried his power, when he's sitting in the courtroom, he'd probably been in the TVA for at least an hour or two. So I'm wondering if
we still had that thing around his neck at that time. So maybe that.
Well, yeah, but that thing around his neck, all that does is just, that's the thing that just, basically it's like just a little prison around your neck that lets them control you moving where you're moving around, right?
Well, allegedly, but we don't know if it has additional powers on top of that.
Yeah, no, that's true. But so, I mean, and that's another little nugget I like. It's like I said, the fact that they showed you her power for a brief second. So I like how they threw that in there. So I'm right along with the other 2 episodes of this. I'm giving it an 8, man. I thought it was just as good as the other 2, especially as far as story progression. Yeah, they could have done a better job of the fight scene. There should have been no major fight like that when they've got their powers on, when they're not in the TVA. But aside from that, I thought it was good. I thought her acting was fine, for what they gave her. And
I mean, her acting wasn't bad per se, but it didn't impress me. It's not like Mobius and Tom Hiddleston level where we've seen in the other 2 episodes for sure.
Right. Well,
she didn't bring anything like any flair like they brought.
Yeah, but I don't think that was her fault. I think she was going off what was given to her, and I think.
Well, I'm not blaming the actor personally,
right. But I think for what she was given and the line she was given, I think she did them just fine. I mean, could they have thrown some more witty stuff in there? The writers could have, yeah, sure. They could have made her more witty and that kind of stuff. But for what it was, I thought her acting was fine. I thought that her reactions with and her dynamic with Loki were fine for what it was worth, and so I wasn't really thrown off by that. So again, I'm giving it an 8, just like I did with the rest of them, because I liked it. I thought the story's progressing along pretty good. I really do not want them to do the behind the screen kind of crap, but hopefully they don't go there. I hope there are some timekeepers or at least something cool for us to see, right? This controlling stuff. If it's not timekeepers, you better give me some kind of cool giant alien or something, But yeah, I mean, we'll find out.
Yeah, I'm still in for the series and seeing where it goes. I'm a little. This has made me a little bit worried, but I hope it just gets better. And I hope, for me at least, that this episode was just a one-off And then the other ones are as good. And I think they will be, especially as we get Mobius back into the picture.
Yeah, no, it's always good to have Mobius in the picture for sure. And he wasn't, like you said, he wasn't in this episode at all, hardly. Very beginning you saw him, and then that was about it. So, yeah. But anyway, all right, guys. Well, that's our review of Loki episode 3. Please let us know what you think about it in the comments section. We'd love to hear from you. If you like our channel, hit like and subscribe, and we'll catch you at the next review.
See you guys.